By the way, no Paul Wagner today. He is out. He is chasing something. We don't know exactly what.
Yeah.
But he might be chasing a deal. He might be chasing a whitetail. He might be chasing a poacher, which we're going to talk about on the show today. He might be chasing some ducks. He might be chasing some pheasants.
Right.
A buddy of mine was pheasant hunting last weekend and was very successful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been seeing a lot of that. You know, it just goes back to the old, it's a crazy time to be a Wisconsin outdoorsman because there's just so much happening. And it was really nice driving in this morning because as I drove by the golf course off the freeway and as I'm driving through the parkway, as I always do, there's a nice little frost on the ground.
Right.
And it just kind of, I thought you were going to open the show by saying, man, it feels good. It feels like, it smells like deer season.
Well, it does. It does. But here's my thought on this, and this is what I was going to say today before I got sidetracked, which is nothing new in this program, is that in the recent weeks, we're kind of ramping up to this.
Yeah.
And so I wore a really light camouflage hoodie a few times. You've worn not flannel, but like a little flannel and a hat.
Yeah.
Maybe a little patch and a shirt. Today, we're full on, baby.
Oh, yeah.
You're full on flannel. I've got the heavy-duty pullover on today.
You need it.
Fall has arrived. I actually made last weekend or 2 weekends ago? It was last weekend. We made the run up to Holy Hill.
Okay.
And we did the color run. See, this is what happened to me since I stepped back from doing Badger football.
Sure.
Now my wife is like, oh, okay.
We have every Saturday available now.
You're going to Green Bay on Sunday, so Saturday is my day.
Yeah.
And so we did the want to do a shout out to the folks up at Holy Hill, the Art Farm.
Yeah.
They had what was called Flannel Fest.
Yeah.
And so we went up and did Flannel Fest on Saturday. It was fantastic. They had a chili cook-off. I don't think that the chili I liked won, but that's okay.
It's okay. That's how it goes. Personal preference.
One of the coolest things they had was they had a dude that was a chainsaw carver.
Okay.
Okay.
Those are always cool to see.
And what he did was that his specialty, I guess, was like pine trees or Christmas trees that are like in the wind. You know how trees will bend, especially pine trees? This dude was knocking these things out, and these are not small things. Yes. But his work was unbelievable. And this wasn't a full-time gig for him. He did some other things. I think he was a farmer from someplace. But he had like 5 or 6, 7 chainsaws.
Wow.
And to see a block of wood, and then, just literally a big old piece of pine that's got the knots and everything else in it, the bark.
Yep.
And 20, 25 minutes later, seeing this thing turn into a piece of art.
Right.
That's a gift.
Yeah, especially if you do like a loop around and you see it when it starts and then you come back and you're like, holy cow, it hasn't been that long, and all of a sudden there's this amazing piece of artistry that's been built.
Well, and my wife made a great point as we were starting to watch him do this, is that there's no like a pattern. For example, how many times when you were a kid you carved a pumpkin in your brain, it would look this way, and then when it got done it was sort of like that?
Yeah.
And then they got smart and they said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make patterns, and then you can lay them on top of the pumpkin.
Right? Make it very easy.
Yes, very easy for you, right?
Yeah.
It's cheating.
Yeah.
And my wife said to me, she goes, there's no pattern to this. The guy just literally looked at it and said in his mind he could envision what this thing would look like.
Yeah.
And then he just went after it with several different chainsaws, bigger ones, smaller ones. And within, like I said, 20 to 25 minutes, this thing is beautiful. It's just crazy to have that ability, that gift, that talent.
Yeah. You mentioned carving pumpkins. I saw a video this week that this guy was getting ready to do pumpkins with the kids and whatever. And all of a sudden it like split screens into him actually carving the pumpkin with a pressure washer. Just the full bore nozzle on it. Yes. It's just high powered and just rips through. And of course, like the smile is kind of jacked up. The eyes actually turned out okay, but it's so funny. I don't know. It's that time of year where you start to see some of those crazy things.
Well, and here's the thing, too.
And like the gigantic ones.
Yeah, exactly. We're getting into next week is Halloween week. And when you did, do you guys gear up for trick-or-treaters at your house?
Halloween is kind of a sensitive subject in our household because we have friends that do a huge Halloween party every year.
See, this is where I was getting at, right?
And Eric is never around for it.
So you could just, you know what? You could wear the hunting costume or the hunter costume.
Mm-hmm.
You got the face paint, you got everything on. You just, walk out of the woods at dark. You just go to the party, man.
Show up there.
Yeah.
The problem is that we always go up north. So it's like I'm not even close.
Okay.
And I think there's been 2 years that I was actually around for it. But like the last, I guess, 4 years now, this will be year number 4 that we do this long, like week-long trip up north. And I miss out on it. So I feel really bad. But at the same time, it's like, you know what? I'm all yours all year round.
This is my time.
Except for the last week of October and a portion of November.
This is my time.
It's my time.
I
gotta do this. I gotta do this. Me and my pops and my uncle. So we're gearing up for that. We're heading up there this weekend.
The reason I bring this up is because, one, now knowing this, I'm sure you're going to stop at Bunzel's and you're going to load up beforehand, right?
Yep.
You're going to stockpile the coolers so you're all set. Butchie was telling the story recently about in his neighborhood for trick or treat, the parents kind of like have a little at each house when you stop by. It's a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Some people throw full out Halloween parties and they get after it. This weekend, it's Halloween weekend in Madison. You got the Badgers and Penn State tonight.
Yeah.
I, of course, will be there.
Yeah,
and
it's homecoming, right?
It is homecoming weekend.
Yeah.
And so if you're heading up to Madison tonight for the Penn State game, by the way, kickoff at 6:30. Coverage starts at 2:30 right here on 97.3 The Game. You may want to do like you did and stop at Bunzel's and gear up because your tailgate party's this weekend with the help of Bunzel's. And here's the thing. Bunzel's is kind of a Milwaukee thing.
Yeah.
Why don't you venture into Dane County?
Yeah.
And lighten the folks in the 608 about how great this is. So then they go, wow, what is this? We don't have this here.
We had that little bag of, I think it was just jerky, but it was a smaller kind of sample size bag because we grabbed a couple different kinds of flavors of that. Mm-hmm. That is so perfect. Say you are driving up north, or say you're driving to Green Bay, or you're driving to Madison, or wherever it is. It's just the perfect snack to bring along with you.
Road trip food.
And if you are like me and have eaten a lot of your venison from prior years, you don't have anything, so it's the perfect reason to go and stock up. And, just it's easy to bring out into the woods. And I always joke around, I like to bring it back to where we first met in the woods,
So you could stop by Bunzel's this weekend, and you can stock up. Here's the other thing, too, I was going to bring up in this first segment today. So when we were up in Holy Hill, the dude that has the huge Halloween decoration display, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, that's Jimmy.
Okay.
Jimmy and my wife are really good friends. I can tell you off air why. So we went to the downslope. And that was one of the dive bars that I went to with Wags back in the day. We were doing the dive bar runs, right? So we're at the downslope because we're going to walk up to Jimmy's place and see his Halloween display. It's unbelievable. Yeah. We ran into Jimmy at the art fair, and Jimmy was telling us how much time and effort he's put into this. It's really cool. The smokers section, you got to see it to believe it, right? I think it's up on Facebook too if you want to check it out. Anyway, so we go up, see that, come back to the downslope, going to have a beer before we go up to the art fair, right, or to Flannel Fest. Mm-hmm. Guess what? Somebody rolls out on the table next to us. Busch Light, camouflage cans.
I know that I'm grabbing a couple packs cool. to take up.
That's Wags' gig. She's like, what? I go, yeah. I go, Wags has got the endorsement for that.
Yeah.
So there were people that as the colors were there, talk about sponsorship utopia right here.
Yeah. And just the overall, we think about it for 9 to 10 months out of the year.
Yes.
And then you get yourself into a situation like that and you're like, it's time.
It is time.
It's the season.
It is time.
It's what we look forward to all year round.
Let's do this. Let's take a break. We'll come back on the other side. I really want to dig into it's a local story. It's a story that's had local ramifications. It's close to home for you. It's close. I mean, literally close to home for you, close to home for Wags. We don't like to talk about these stories. We believe in our fellow man that they're smarter than we think they are, but sometimes they are just damn idiots.
Yeah.
Idiots. We'll come back. We'll talk about that. You're with us. It is an early Saturday morning. We're working our way up to a Badger game day later today. Again, coverage starts at 2:30 with Eric Tasker. I'm Tim Scott, and this is Tailgate Talk. Tailgate Talk continues now on the game. Tim Scott and Eric Tasker. No Paul Wagner today. Wags is out and chasing things. Hey, real quick, in the last segment, we were talking about our two great partners in Bunzel's and a Busch Light. Of course, Busch Light, you know where you get your Busch Light and the camouflage cans. Again, those things are a limited time. What did Wags tell us? December? They're done?
Through November, November,
so,
with our season here for gun season, the end of November, I think they carry it through that, and then they start to switch over to some of their NASCAR
what was it?
affiliations.
When I saw the cans, in past years they had a blaze orange look to them.
Yeah, they change them every year.
This year it's not.
It's like a duck camo.
Yes, it is a duck
a
camo.
Cool, just kind of.
I thought it was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, just a very noticeable can, but, well, I mean, you can't see them because they're camouflaged.
That's right,
but,
exactly. And, of course, Bunzel's, and we love Bunzel's. They've been with us for years, and we're talking about tailgates this weekend. There's plenty of time with the night game at Camp Randall. If you're heading up to Madison, go there this morning, gear up. And how do they, what is the website? Is it
Yep, just bunzels.com, BUNZELS, and then they're just conveniently located right off of 45 on 95th and Burleigh.
Right. Yeah, so there you go.
It is that easy to get in and out of there.
It is that easy, so check them out, bunzels.com. So we have teased this going into the last break about, and we've highlighted stories over the months doing this show about people who are simply, they lose their mind when it comes to the outdoors. They do things that they shouldn't be doing. I hope they know it's wrong.
Yeah.
Everything from people stuffing fish with sinkers to all kinds of crazy stuff we share with you over the months. But unfortunately, we have a major story that developed last week that has been ongoing for a while, resulted in basically kind of a DNR-type sting operation.
Mm-hmm.
And in our own backyard, stupidity reigned, didn't it?
Yeah, it's really kind of disappointing to see some of these. And normally we see them from all over the country.
Right.
And then all of a sudden we stumble on this huge story of something happening right in our own backyard. And it revolves around poaching. It was taking place in Fond du Lac, Dodge, and Washington counties. And I think you nailed it exactly, is that it hits a little closer to home when, A, it's right in our backyard, but to take it a step further, my buddy Vince and Wags, our buddy Vince, that has been on the show with us a couple times, talk about turkeys and muskie fishing and all of that. He actually has a farm in Lamira, and the neighbor across the street has been onto this, and I don't know if she was involved with the sting operation in any way, shape, or form, but there's a time when people start to grow deer and they manage their deer population well enough that counties start to take notice of the deer that are running around people's properties. And that happened last year. And Vince was trying to chase this deer. He had a couple of encounters with it, never was able to actually harvest this animal, but it was a deer that public works people were talking about, and that there were a lot of whispers about in that community. And I don't know if this was one of the deer that were taken or not, but he has not seen it yet this year. And she was very well aware of the fact that there were poachers that were in the area and that it was a common problem and that it was starting to kind of bubble up to a DNR level investigation. And it turns out that there were 4 people in total, 3 teenagers and a 36-year-old woman from Campbellsport. They've been identified as the suspects in an extensive poaching investigation.
All I can think about when I first read the story was, and again, you have to know your criminal history.
Yeah.
But remember Ma Barker? Back in the 20s, the gangster?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is the Ma Barker of poachers. She's got her gang.
Yeah.
A Ma and 3 teenagers.
You know, and as the Fond du Lac sheriff says, it's senseless, it's reckless, and indiscriminate.
When you read the story, how many people, show of hands, and I know this is radio, but, and again, it was in a different time. I mean, I'll admit publicly I did this, but I haven't done it probably in 40 years now. Where I came from and grew up in Jackson and Monroe County in Wisconsin, shining deer was just a normal practice. Mm-hmm. Now, did we shoot the deer? Did we go after the deer? No.
Right.
It was just something that we did. My father, later on big flashlights. Yep. Sometimes, remember my dad had a coffee can that had a headlight mounted into it that hooked up to a battery.
Right.
But we never chased the deer. We never went after it. We was just like, wow, look at the size of that buck on the neighbor's field.
Right.
And we were like, and then we would see the neighbor at the store or something, and we would say, Carl, boy, we saw that 14-pointer on your field the other day.
Yeah. I think it's a good time to make mention of this as well, is that you can shine deer in the state of Wisconsin. That's totally legal. There's nothing illegal about it. A friend of ours, we were at a party one time and we were talking about that, about how I was, buying a big shining light and that it was just nice to do because we had so many deer around us in Hartford, and now especially in Oconomowoc, there's tons of deer. And the girl, her father is actually a police officer, and she had asked him about it because it was something that they did. And he said the rule of thumb with it is it's not illegal, but don't make yourself look suspicious. Yeah. Don't sit there and make it super obvious, and don't give the authorities any reason to question what your motives are. Don't have a weapon in your vehicle, and be respectful of what you're doing. Yeah. And the same, I should also say, goes for having a drone. If you're operating a drone during the season, don't have your weapon with you because it will be suspicious, and it'll just give a reason for people to call and to make note of what you're doing. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. But so from spring of 2023 to July of 2024, the incidents happened in Fond du Lac, Dodge, and Washington counties, stretched from Lomira to Wacusta. I don't know where that is, or if I'm even pronouncing that correctly, down to Teresa and West Bend. Teresa being where my buddy Vince's farm is. And at minimum 100, at maximum 200 deer that were shot from the vehicle.
200.
It's just an unbelievable number.
Yes. And they didn't harvest these deer. They just shot them and left.
They shot them, and then what it says, that the reports are saying that they would shoot the deer. If they saw the deer drop, they would go out and they would check to see, is it male or female? They would check the antler size, and then oftentimes if it was a sizable deer, a sizable buck, they would actually just take the head with, because they'd want the rack, they'd want the antlers. And so they are being charged with, I think it's,
wasn't part of the story that I read, if I remember correctly, that they took a deer that was not dead, they threw it in the trunk, they drove around like it was a trophy, showed it off to a few people, and then discarded it. I thought that was in the story. Then the other part of the story that I read was that in their house they had a young deer, and they let it just become a pet for a while in the house. Yeah.
I didn't see that.
I mean, if you dive into this story, I read deeply into this story, and some of the accusations of what these guys did is crazy.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, so it just looks like they were obviously they weren't even getting out of the car. They were just taking their rifle and they were shining, one person shooting from the vehicle. I think the article that Wags had sent us about this actually had it listed, all of the different things. So
that's where
it's about a dozen or so, maybe 15 different things that they're being charged with. Now, I know might nitpick this a little bit. I always thought that it was 100 feet from the center line that you couldn't fire a firearm, but here it says that it's 50 feet. And a minor discrepancy at that point, but so it does look like, the first thing, mistreating animals resulting in death, possession of a dangerous weapon, hunting deer with an artificial light. Obviously, you can't shine deer and then shoot them.
I'm going to read from the story. You ready?
Yeah.
Investigators determined these suspects would also drive around with the intent of striking deer in the roadway with their vehicle. In one incident, the deer survived being struck by their vehicle but was severely wounded from the impact. The juvenile suspects picked the deer up and placed it in the trunk of their vehicle while recording videos and taking selfies with the deer. They drove around to 2 various locations with the deer still alive and suffering in the trunk or back seat, and continued to provide video clips documenting their travels with the wounded deer. One of the videos showed the suspects holding the deer still alive but clearly suffering while walking around the inside of their home. The deer eventually died while in their captivity hours after being struck with the vehicle. In another incident, and again, I'm reading from a story from KFIZ.com. This is the Fond du Lac radio station. In another incident this spring, they found a newly born fawn alongside the road and captured it. The fawn was also placed in a vehicle and driven around, taken inside the residence, and was later released back into the wild. In addition to capturing and or killing deer, investigators obtained evidence to believe these suspects also targeted and harassed other wildlife, including geese, raccoons, possums, and turtles. These animals would oftentimes be captured, held in captivity, and harassed prior to release. Suspects involved in these crimes include 3 16-year-olds and 1 36-year-old Campbellsport female.
I think it's just
sick.
Disgusting. It's disgusting. And I think that, and a story that I will share later will give you a little faith in humanity here again, but we have a problem with the way that outsiders and people who don't understand our way of life perceive us, and it's based on, terrible pictures that are posted or like terribly bloodied animals after a harvest. No matter how ethical the shot was, if the optics of it don't look great,
it's just bad optics.
It doesn't ever resonate well with the public. Now, if I show you a picture of a deer that I heart shot and it was a perfect ethical kill, you wouldn't have a problem with it, but the outsiders who see that and the people who maybe listen to this radio station or saw the news reports on Fond du Lac news outlets, these people are all going to be disgusted by it, which rightfully so, but it just fuels that fire of anti-hunting rhetoric that we need less of, and we need more of those good faith stories, I think. And this is obviously an outlier. I mean, this is just a terrible, terrible situation.
I think the lesson from this is, if there is a lesson right now, is that, before I say that though, it's something I got to say. I'm going to steal a line from KB right now. To the 3 juveniles and Ma Barker in Fond du Lac County. What are you, high?
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to just get that out of my system.
Yeah, it's well, and thankfully there's these people that came forward and that they were able to kind of work together.
See,
and
that's what I was going to get to,
and,
right? Is that it took a while for everyone to catch up with them.
Right.
If you see stuff that does, it's what you just talked about.
Right.
When it came to shining deer. Mm-hmm. If something doesn't look right, it probably isn't.
Yeah.
And you should notify somebody right away.
Yeah.
And I'm not, and again, in this situation, I don't know if people were slow to report this.
Right.
But again, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, and it turns out to be, well, there's nothing there, that at least you checked on it.
Yeah.
Because you don't want it to spin into this. Because obviously this group got away with this for a while. With each time they got away with it, they became more and more bold to the point where they thought we can get away with anything.
Right.
And then arrogancy hops in. Now you're starting to put videos out. And again, they're stupid.
Yeah. Well, and I think that it just goes back to the fact of, the truth will eventually come out. If you're not doing anything wrong, or if you're truly not like ill-willed in your intent. I mean, I don't think we ever really talked about it, but I had in where I live, there's public hunting land right at the end of my road. And somebody had called the DNR, and they were waiting for me when I got out, and they were questioning me, what I was doing out there and how I was going about it. And I had the conversation with them. We followed up. We had a number of conversations after that, and everything was fine. I was not doing anything wrong. But they had a concern, so they reported it, and the truth came out. I mean, I was totally okay.
What was the concern?
Well, so, you know...
I mean, you don't have to. You don't
no,
have to talk about it.
Not at all a problem. So that's why I brought up the drone before. So you watch these hunting shows, and you see these guys where they take these cool overhead shots of them walking out to the field, and they have a drone flying overhead. So that's exactly what I did. And the person was suspecting that I used the drone to fly over the woods to see if there were deer, and that's not what I did. So I just showed the DNR warden, here's all the footage that I have. I simply was just trying to get a shot of me walking to the woods. The camera never crested the tree line. I have 5 shots, a couple videos and a couple photos just of me overhead walking out to the woods. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I didn't know that I was in the wrong. But now I know that if I'm going to fly drone, if I'm going to scout, or if I'm going to do anything with my drone, I should not have my bow with me, because it raises questions, and rightfully so. Especially with the technology that we have now, that there's thermal drones that you can use for deer recovery, which there's a lot of great uses for it.
We had, didn't we have somebody on
the
show?
Yeah.
That talked about that? Yeah.
And so, rightfully so. I mean, if they didn't know, and they didn't know me, and they didn't know what I was attempting, it looks fishy. And so they called, and I had the conversation with the warden, and everything was fine, and nothing ever came of it. And I knew I was not doing anything wrong, so I was happy to have that conversation, and we talked through it, and it was fine. But they were suspect of something fishy happening. And I was happy to just share my story and what I was doing and why I went about it that way. So don't ever feel bad about it. I mean, as much as I was annoyed by the fact that somebody would call and report me when I wasn't doing something wrong, they had a concern, and they rightfully reported it. And that's fine.
Well, but again, it goes to what we said. I mean, we can't straddle both sides of the fence going, hey, buddy, I'm sorry it happened to you, and that guy was an idiot for calling, when they didn't know what you were up to.
Right.
And you weren't.
Right.
But there could have been somebody, it could have been worse. Right. Like this group up in Fond du Lac. So let me jump to this now when we talk about, let's put a bow on this Fond du Lac story. They've been charged with a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. When you read through, and as I shared some of the horrific details about this story, do you think they deserve jail time?
Yes.
I do too. Do you think that they should be stripped of any hunting and fishing privilege?
For life.
Thank you, because I was the same way. You are done.
Yeah.
You are done.
I think you've killed enough deer for multiple lifetimes.
I think that, and then also there should be some form of restitution.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But afterwards.
Well, and I think you could go about it in the sense that, so up where we are, up north, there was a farmer who raised deer, and somehow CWD had infected his property. And I don't know what the value is of deer in the DNR's eyes, but I think that they should have, and it's not a small amount. But this guy might have had 20 deer and he got $1 million or something, whatever that equation is, however much it is for each one. Is that fair? I don't know, because you'd probably, state wildlife would probably never see that money from these 16-year-olds. They highly doubtful that
I highly doubt that a
36-year-old
female and 3 16-year-olds are going to have enough money
to pay that back. But I think there should be something, and I think that money should all go towards like a youth hunting program or something with conservation, or something for the Teresa Marsh, or something that is directly related to that community to give back. And they should never be able to hunt again. I mean, I don't think there's any way that anybody could justify that. It's not just this was wrong, or it was a one-time thing. It was 16 months of pure stupidity.
Here's what I want you to do, because you're much more socially active than I am. If you haven't done so already, just for our audience, take the link of the story that Wags sent us and post it on your social media sites.
Yeah.
So people listening to this can look at this story from KFIZ, and I give them credit. They did a great job reporting and putting this all together. The details in this, as I read some of them, are pretty graphic, which it's just, I don't even know. For people who work in the word business, we're supposed to be able to come up with something really good right now.
Yeah.
It does leave you speechless.
Yeah, it's something you don't think would happen, and you hear about these crazy stories all the time, but it's usually, this person shot a buck where he didn't have a tag, or he shot 2 bucks in the same sit and only had 1 tag. It's never to this extent, and it's really disappointing in fellow hunters or fellow outdoorsmen to give us kind of that bad rap, thinking, I don't know, somewhat selfishly about it. It's disturbing. I don't know how else to say it. And it's not even like it was just, they shot 2 bucks that were like monster 200-inch deer that somebody saw. It was
far worse than
tons of deer.
All right, we need to take a break. Social media will post that. Where will it be up so people can see it later?
I'll do it on Instagram, and then I will. I'll tag the game in it as well. And Hunter's done a nice job, or whoever helps out with that is shared some of those things.
We'll get that up as well. All right. Eric Tasker, Tim Scott, we are here with you Saturday morning. Usually we'd be rolling into Badger football here at 8. Yeah. We are not, because prime time, baby. Here we go. It's homecoming. Penn State coming in, little heat on Coach Franklin this weekend at a press conference. Again, to steal a line from KB, if you know, you know. That is an interesting storyline of the Badgers. They've won 3 straight, and they look really good. But the one thing under Luke Fickell they're missing is a signature win.
Yep.
And something about Camp Randall at night, if you look back historically.
I just got chills.
A lot of strange things have happened. I mean, I've saw plenty of these things, and I'm just like, I got to be there.
Yeah.
Told my wife, I said, we're going. She said, it's going to be cold. I go, put some long johns on. We're going.
You got layers.
Yeah, I got layers. Layer up, baby. We're going. All right, quick break. We'll come back. Final segment is next. Thanks for listening with us this Saturday morning. By the way, the Badger Bash, that is the way to get your game face on. The band plays about an hour before kickoff. Over there is Union South. It is just a lovely, 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 lovely place to go get geared up for the Badger game. The Badgers and Penn State tonight. Kickoff at 6:30. You can hear it right here on 97.3 The Game. I know there's an age gap between Wags, myself, and you. It's not significant, but when we make references, sometimes you have no clue what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. So during the break, I said, did you ever read Sports Illustrated? What amazes me is some of the guys here, when I mention about magazines, they're like, what's a magazine? I mean, they know what a magazine is, but they don't. I mean, for us, growing up, Sports Illustrated came in swimsuit edition. My goodness.
Everybody knows what that is.
Yeah. So did you read Sports Illustrated?
I did.
Okay. There was a section that I always love to read. It's just a small commentary piece. I don't know if it's a commentary piece, but the headline was, "The Apocalypse is Upon Us."
Yeah.
And what it was, do you remember that piece?
No. But
okay. What it was that when, like the story we just shared, right? The apocalypse, meaning that the world is coming to an end.
Yeah.
And it was always something so bizarre, some strange thing that happened in the world of sports. They couldn't believe it. And that's why, and again, it was just one small piece that was like in the front section, like the commentary piece and different things. But there was a piece called "The Apocalypse is Upon Us," which said that, stuff. So when you said to me, team me up for this next segment, you kind of gave me a tease of what it was during the break. I'm like, aha. This would fall under the category of the apocalypse is upon us.
It is. And I think that you never know what's going to happen when you post some stuff on social media. And just like in the sports world, what's going to actually take off and gain traction. And my whole thing that I've always kind of maintained with what I post on social media is mostly just like kind of comical things, but I try and take a serious note with some things, like obviously talking about this poacher case, or when really unique and good things happen to us. I think it's noteworthy to talk about it. And I posted a video after I got out of the woods last week. Part of the reason that we didn't have a show last week was just purely that Wags and I were both trying to take advantage of a cold front and get out.
And we would have had to do it at 6 a.m.
Yes, and 6 a.m. Yeah. So I'm hunting a public spot last week that has some walking trails that go around it. And the first day that I hunted there was a black lab under my stand. Okay, so there's trails everywhere. There's a lot of people that walk their dogs there. There's horse trails there. And I was getting out. It was mid-morning, and I was just getting ready to go home, grab some lunch, and then get back out there for the afternoon. And I'm kind of packing up all my stuff, and I'm standing at the tailgate, and a lady gets out, and she's got her dog, and she looks at me, and she says, "I don't have to worry about getting hunted, do I?" I said, "No, you'll be all right. Just, make sure you stay on the trails."
Getting hunted.
Yes. Okay, which was an odd way. I would have said.
Mistaken for a deer?
Yes. Yeah.
I get it. I get what she was trying to say.
So I say, "Nah, don't worry about it. Your dog's got orange on. And as long as you stay on the trails,
good.
I don't think anybody's hunting there. There might be one squirrel hunter that's out back, but I don't think you really have anything to worry about." And she's like, "Oh my gosh, I live over here and I have so many deer in my yard." And I say, "Yeah, I'm in Oconomowoc and I have a ton of deer in my yard too." And it's tough because I trust me, right now there's a buck that's in my yard that I would harvest without question if it weren't for the fact that it would probably die in a neighbor's yard and I'd probably upset the entire subdivision that I've lived in for 13 months. So we kind of wrap up the conversation, and she looks at me and she says, "Thank you for doing your constitutional duty and helping manage the deer herd." And I looked at her, and I was dumbfounded by it because I've never been thanked for hunting before. But not only that, for somebody to just go out of their way and actually have a nice, decent conversation with somebody who's doing something that they love.
You know why?
She's probably hit a deer before.
Well, that
or they
possibly,
eat all of her garden.
That possibly too. But I was thinking about that. If you probably had a longer conversation with her, you would find out that there's a hunting history with her, meaning that either she grew up with it, her family did it, her father did it, that type of stuff. Because to me, it's almost like sports you play when you're an adult, or you follow. Follow's better than play.
Yeah.
It's because you were exposed to it, you played it when you were young, right?
Right.
Like, for me, baseball still is my number one passion. Football's a close second, but baseball's number one. I followed my father all over the state of Wisconsin when I was a kid. My dad was a really good ball player.
Yeah.
And so we did all kinds of stuff with him, softball tournaments, fast pitch tournaments, all that stuff. Then later I carried it on, playing. My sons have carried it on and that kind of stuff. So baseball is always our first love. Now, if we were a hockey family, it probably would be different. I think you're a hunting family. It's a generational thing. It's a traditional thing. So when someone says thank you, I think it strikes us as odd because, one, it rarely happens.
Right.
Two, you're right. She probably, take care of that one and take care of that one. A few less things happening in my yard. And I think, thirdly, she understands hunting. She understands what it's about. And I'm sure if you would have had a longer conversation with her, I bet that and maybe she's a hunter. Maybe
there's a root of it.
Yeah, there's some reason why she said that.
It was really refreshing. And
good for you.
It was something that, like I said, never expected that, never anticipated that. And never do I go out to public hunting spots and expect to run into other people and actually have nice, decent conversations with them. A lot of the guys that are out there, a lot of the people just in general are just kind of keep to themselves and they're, hey, I'm going to go here and I'm going to do my thing. You're going to go over there. Okay, great. try to avoid your spot. But, to have an actual nice, decent conversation with that. And as I think back to it, there was another guy that I walked by as I was walking the trail out who also had his dog out there. It's just very nice interaction with people. Hey, how did it go out there today? Did you see anything? Did you get anything? Just people just genuinely curious about it. And to have those back to back in a matter of a half hour, it just kind of makes you feel good about doing what you do and knowing that, hey, we have a lot of deer in the area. Whether you think the deer population is increasing or decreasing, that's a different story. But for people to get it and for people to just not go out there and chastise you about doing something that you truly love and knowing that you're doing it for the right reasons, I think goes a long way. And it's a story to follow the prior segment that I think should be told. And like I said, with social media and all of that stuff, that's where we've got to make some of those like nice tractions with getting positive messages out. And I don't have a lot of things that go viral, but 250,000 views later and a lot of really positive engagement, mostly people saying, I think she was hitting on you. It's nice to see that for a change. So,
hey, flannel, little beard combination.
Yeah.
Hey, look at you.
Yeah. It's that time of year. So,
and you tell that to your wife, she looks at you and she goes, yeah, right.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So it's good. And I hope that we have more stories like that come out. And, if any of the listeners out there have had stories like that, text in.
Sure,
we'd love to hear those stories.
Yeah,
so.
They can email you. They can email me, too, if you want to.
Yeah.
Tim Scott at iHeartMedia.com. That's a way to get a hold of me there. You, too.
Yeah, and then Eric Tasker at iHeartMedia.com, ERIKTASKER.
Yeah, there you go. All right, if you missed any of these shows, we're going to wrap it up because we really went long in that last segment. Unless you had you have a little bit you want to throw in yet?
No.
What are you doing this weekend?
Yeah, I'm heading up north. It's our rutcation, as we call it.
Rutcation.
Yes. So a lot of people go on vacation. Eric goes on rutcation.
You go rutcation.
So
stocked up at Bunzel, so you're ready to go.
Yeah,
there.
We're ready to go there. We've got a couple Busch Light packs, 30 packs to get us through the next 10 days. And it's been interesting. Wags and I have been kind of going back and forth about just like camera activity and some of that stuff. And I think we're kind of getting into this like seeking phase where bucks are starting to chase. And I don't know that we're necessarily like rutting yet, but it'll be interesting just to see what happens. It's a different mindset for me from previous years because we've had a ton of activity on cameras leading into this week. And it's been dead for 2 weeks, basically, up by us. Like, we haven't had much of any action on our cellular trail cameras so that I actually get the feedback. But, the last 5 or 6 years, I've had an opportunity at a nice buck this week. So I'm hoping that streak continues. And either way, it'll be nice just to get away with my dad and my uncles and continue that tradition. I think we're at 51 years now of hunting up there. So
that is awesome, man. Lucky for you, you get to continue to do
that. And it's mostly about getting together and, hopefully we get to get that picture with a buck and to have a great story to tell. But it's funny, I sent a picture to one of my buddies of my forearm twitching.
You're going to talk about that. And I know Wags, I didn't bring it up because, folks, Eric shared a picture with me today, some photos of this muy grande buck that somebody got. And I asked you, so who shot it? And then you said Wag's neighbor.
Yeah.
And I died laughing because that's what happens to Wags. Wags is not here, so I didn't bring it up to him.
Yeah.
But when he's back, we're gonna discuss.
It's and it's one of those where you have to be happy for them, or you want to be happy for them, and then you walk away and you're like, that's
and usually it goes through his property.
Yeah.
And that's really, it's the guy that's next door.
Right.
Poor Wags.
Yeah. So I took a video, my like forearm, like my bicep kind of forearm muscle was twitching the other day. Mm-hmm. And I sent it to my buddy and I said, I think my trigger finger is getting itchy. I didn't shoot anything last year. So we have doe tags for up north. So I think I'll be quick on the trigger this year.
Good luck this weekend, man.
Yeah.
For the
thank you.
Next 9 days.
Yeah, the next 9 days. So we'll be back on the 3rd. Mm-hmm. And, I hope that it looks like the tail end of next week should be pretty good. So we'll see what happens. And, I just go up there hoping for the best. And I'm going to do everything that I can to try and put a good shot on a deer. And hopefully it's a couple deer.
The stories that Eric will tell when he gets back.
Those that I remember.
Hope, yes.
Those that I remember.
All right. That's a wrap for us today on Tailgate Talk. A couple of reminders. One, if you missed any of this show or the past shows, you can download them on our podcast page on the website at 973thegame.com or thegamemke.com. A couple of different URL addresses there. Download the show. Quick reminder, too, how we roll today. We got stuff going on. Trey and the gang, T's and Q's are back talking heavy buck stuff at 10 o'clock this morning. And then our Badger football coverage starts today with Reed and Nick live from Union South at 2:30. Matt will take over at 4:30. It is a 6:30 kick today. And the Badgers and Penn State night games. Camp Randall, top-ranked opponents.
It's going to be fun.
Historically, Bucky has done pretty good. Don't want to jinx us. We got that. And, of course, the Packers playing in Jacksonville on Sunday. No, it's not a trap game. Everybody wants to say it is. I don't believe it. We'll have coverage with Doug Russell live from Potawatomi Sportsbook. That's where he's going to be on tomorrow morning. That will start at 8 a.m., and then we hand off to Dennis Krause and the team. And, of course, the Packers on the road in Jacksonville. Wayne and Larry with a call at noon. All right here on 97.3 The Game. Thank you for listening. For Eric Tasker, I'm Tim Scott. This has been Tailgate Talk, again on The Game.